Hello, welcome to Kitchen Shift at SLCP, the Early Discovery Center, Training 101 video. I'm gonna walk you through, I actually got here at 11:30, so I'm gonna walk you through what I've done so far, and then I'm gonna keep rolling, and I'm essentially gonna walk you through the last part of this shift and how that looks. Okay, the first thing I did was went and checked if the food garbages were done. One room was, one wasn't. I grabbed the food garbage, brought the food out to the dumpster, and I sanitized, okay? In the kitchen, always up on that shelf where all the cleaning stuff is, you are going to see two bottles. One says soap and water, one says sanitizer. Everything needs to be soaped and watered first, and then sanitizer sprayed and let dry for at least 2 minutes. I find 5 preferable. They tell me 2 is okay right now. That's the first thing I did. I went into the office and saw that there were almost no clean rags. So I folded the rags, I put the rags in the clean part in the office. That is another training video perhaps. But one thing I have noticed just looking at the kitchen is I don't think we're using enough rags because there weren't enough rags in here. Whether that's because we were out or people just aren't using them. I'm gonna talk a little about cross-contamination and when you need to switch rags. My estimation, just looking at this, is even from 12:30 to 1, you're going to need 4 rags. Okay, I know it's a lot of laundry, I know it's a lot of rags, but we can't cross-contaminate from surface to surface. So the first thing it says on my list, if I walk over here, from 11:30 to 1, I washed and soaped with soapy water and bleached all the counters and prep surfaces and essentially any surface that I see. Okay, so first I took the soap and water bottle, I washed the cart too. Soap and water, wiped it down. We used the same rag because I didn't touch any food or any significant dirty surface with that rag. And then sprayed disinfectant, let it sit for, it's been sitting for well over 5 minutes at this point, okay? So that was step 1. Wipe out oven. There was chicken nugget residue in the bottom of the oven. I pulled out the bottom shelf. I wiped down the inside of the door, the outside of the door, and the bottom of the oven with soapy water. I did not need disinfectant for that, but it won't hurt to spray disinfectant either. There was quite a bit in the bottom of the oven. At that point, my rag looked like this. Another very important component is when I was pulling things out of the bottom of the oven, there was solid pieces, right? Like little charred pieces. I came over to the garbage can here. It has a lid on it, and I opened the lid and very gently put it in there to get it out. I did not touch the sides. If I had, I'd have to use a new rag because I have now touched something that has touched food, cross-contamination. So I didn't get a new rag because I very intentionally did that, but if I'd accidentally done that, I would need to get a new rag. At that point, my rag is quite dirty, okay, cleaning out the oven. I'm gonna throw it, I'm gonna grab a new rag. Next step here is wipe down the walls behind the prep area and the sink, any food splatter. And I see some that's caked on, so I'm not sure we've been doing this, but that is this wall here. All right, and I'm going to soap and water, and then I'm gonna disinfect it, because why not? One thing to notice when you're disinfecting, a lot of people think you can't spray it on anything because there's bleach in there. That's the point. It is sanitizer. It is okay to spray it on stuff as long as you have 5 minutes to leave it before anyone touches it. This means the back of the sink as well. Okay, we get food splatter up there from washing. Be sure you are washing that. Okay, lots of stuff on here, guys. And I know I cleaned these walls when we moved in. This is not necessarily on there, but I'm going to do it because there's stuff. Okay, one thing you don't want to do is spray disinfectant on food, however. Any surface is fine. So for instance, if I grab my disinfectant and I start spraying this wall and I go, oh my goodness, oops, that's a surface, it's not food, so fine. If I accidentally sprayed it on the bananas back there, no bueno, right? You have to throw away the bananas. You can't leave disinfectant on any food surfaces. You can leave it on other surfaces. Clean inside and underneath the microwave. Our microwave is right here. It does say underneath. You're gonna pull out the tray. You're gonna spray in the bottom. Your soap and water mix, you're gonna spray the tray. You can run the tray through the dishwasher too. This is a clean rag. We are going to wipe out all the sides, we're going to wipe out the top, and we're going to wipe out the bottom. Then I'm going to move it, because it said underneath. I'm going to unplug it, I'm going to move it over, done, but I'm going to soap, water, and disinfect underneath. I'm going to let this dry before I put the microwave back in. Right? Makes sense, doesn't it? I still have not touched any food with this rag. I am still okay to use it. At any point during this, I washed my hands before I started. You can feel free to wash your hands. There's never too much hand washing, but you also need to wash your hands anytime you touch food stuff. Get a new rag, wash your hands before you move back to something else. Okay, at 12:30, I am to collect carts from the classrooms. I did that first. It's a weird day here. The preschool's on a field trip. I'm going to talk you through this part. You collect the carts from the classrooms. If there's refrigerated foods, usually fruit, applesauce, what have you, you need to put them away in the fridge. Okay, where the other stuff like it is. Okay, try and keep it organized. You're going to empty those dishes, those garbage bags out of those food waste. You're going to take them to the dumpster. You are going to sanitize the food waste bins and stack them here. On a regular day, there should be 4, 2 preschool classrooms and 2 toddler classrooms. Okay, unload dishwasher and put away dishes. We have 2 dishwashers. Right now, only one is working. It is still running. I can't unload it. I'm going to move to the next thing. But if it helps you to do this, grab a marker or sharp something and make a mark so you remember you have to come back to it. Load lunch dishes into dishwasher. I'm going to walk you through how to prep a sink. Today we use paper plates. Again, pre-K is on a field trip, but I'm going to pretend that we have dishes to wash by hand. Okay. Now, we have sanitizing dishwashers. So to wash dishes, just put them in the dishwasher. You should run them through soapy water in this first sink, and I'll show you how to do that. Rinse them in this second sink. You do not need to sanitize them. Just get food particles off the dishes because we don't want them running through our dishwasher. That's not great to have like food flying around in the dishwasher. Kind of defeats the purpose of sanitizing, right? The dishwasher instructions are here. Okay, please follow them. Start the dishwashers. Anything that's left over, you will have to wash by hand, and I'm going to walk you through that. So it's a 3-step process, and it's a little different for daycare sometimes than it is for restaurants if you worked in restaurants. But essentially, your first step in this process is you need everything out of the sink because you need to prep the sink to hand wash dishes. I know it's kind of gross, but it is what it is. If you need to use gloves by all means. I'm touching food at this point. So I am going to need, a little bell should be going off in your head to wash my hands. Food catchers, I'm going to throw this in the garbage. It's food. It's gross. It's slimy. It's part of the gig. What can I say? I'm going to wash my hands. Using a liberal amount of soap. I'm going to make sure to get between my fingers, around the back and front of my hands, and I'm going to wash my hands for 20 seconds. Under my fingernails, I have long fingernails. If I had a ring, I would take it off and wash. I'm singing a little song to myself in my head. Round and round your hands, round and round your hands. Now they're clean. I'm going to take your paper towels and I am going to dry my hands. When I put them in the garbage, I am going to make sure I don't touch the inside of the garbage where there's food stuff. Okay, and if there's food stuff on the outside of the garbage, you need to be mindful of that as well. So I have my sink, it's empty. I'm going to wash any crummies that I can down the sink. We don't have a sprayer, which isn't my favorite. Maybe at some point we get one. I need a new rag for this task because there's food in here. All right, I've got the crummies down the drain. I'm going to take my sanitizer. I'm going to sanitize the sink. If you don't sanitize the sink, then you're not doing anything. Essentially, you're just canceling out the sanitizing you're about to do. So I'm going to spray the bottoms and the sides of my sink pretty liberally with sanitizer spray. Liberally means quite a bit. I'm going to do the sides, anywhere there could have been stuff that's gross. Bacteria multiplies on food more than it does on surfaces. It tends to die on those surfaces and it multiplies on food. It feeds on it. Which is why it's so important anytime we're working with food to make sure that we are sanitizing, because eating bad food or getting exposed to that bacteria is how we get sick. And we don't want to get sick. Am I right? Of course I'm right. Alright, so I'm almost prepped here. I need a little more water. You can't ever have too much water, really. Okay, there was lots of food crumbs in that first sink. I can still use this washcloth, but I couldn't now take this and wipe some counters. Okay, I couldn't move over to something else, but I'm on the same task. I'm still going to use it. You should find a chlorine test paper strip. You're going to need this to check that your sanitizer is correct, okay? Your first sink contains soap and water, okay? Squirt of Dawn dish soap, water, just like Mama does it at home. Your second sink has regular rinse water, just plain water, nothing in it. Your third sink has water and sanitizer, in this case bleach, okay? And I'm going to show you how much to put in. I measured it in that container in the third sink. You need to make sure you are testing that it is okay. The chlorine limits should fall somewhere between 100 and 200 when you put the test strip in there. So first sink, soap and water. Okay, I had washed these before. Food catchers, make sure those are clean. I'm going to do a healthy squirt of Dawn dish soap, and I'm going to let that run. One thing to note about the temperature of this water, our water heater here is set for the kitchen water so that it's at least 110 degrees Fahrenheit, because that's a minimum. In daycare, the temperature also can't go above 125 degrees anywhere in the building because it can be scalding and burning. Therefore, that's why we have to use a sanitization method in the third sink with the bleach and water. It is possible to sanitize with just hot water alone, but it has to be very hot, and daycare doesn't allow us to actually get it that hot. So you don't have to worry about the temperature in the first and second sinks because it's set to a minimum of 110, and then 170 isn't something we can do anyway, so we use the sanitizing method on the third sink, okay? Ooh, bubbly suds. Okay. So I'm going to put plain water, and bleach. And that is how I'm going to set up any dishes that I need to hand wash because they didn't fit in the dishwasher or too big for the dishwasher. We don't have a apparatus for washing them efficiently in the dishwasher. Can openers shouldn't go in the dishwasher. We should wash those by hand. Lots of little grooves. Any type of dishes, this also, I always recommend don't put these in the dishwasher. You really got to get in there, right? Anything you're looking at where you think, sprayed water isn't going to get every nook and cranny, because that's essentially what a dishwasher is doing, then I would recommend that you hand wash it. Okay, while I'm waiting those to fill, and I've kind of shared with you the ins and outs of what to do, I'll walk you through the rest of this. So you've got lunch dishes in the dishwasher. You're hand washing any excess dishes right now. You want to wipe down the food carts. I already wiped down the one we have. When I was doing the counters, there are food carts also outside of the classrooms. When you get the food waste bags and all the things from the classrooms, take those, make sure you sanitize, soap and water, and sanitize every level of them. See? 1, 2, 3. Just to make sure they are all squeaky clean. Okay, when you get through this process and you've hand washed all your dishes, that was very close, I apologize. Okay. Another thing is you need to sanitize and scrub the sink again. So soap and water and disinfectant, all 3 sinks for the next shift, okay? You want to wipe down the kitchen garbage, whatever garbage this is. When we say kitchen garbage, we mean this garbage. Oop, there it is, okay? Oh, see, what do I have to do now? I need to wash my hands. But lots of stuff collects on the outside of that garbage. Soap and water, disinfectant, scrub her down, get all that junk off. We don't want that junk on there. If the inside of the top of the garbage, actually just do it. Pull off the top of the garbage, scrub around the inside too. Anything inside on the outside that has food residue, and you should be using a new rag to do that, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna wash my hands and we will talk through the rest of the list. Tops and bottoms, in between, round and round your hands, round and round your head. Now they're clean, now they're clean. And because I'm me, fingernails and rings as well. paper towel. I'm not going to touch the garbage when I throw the paper towel away, or I'm just going to set it here until I know that I'm completely done with the kitchen shift and I'm about to walk out the door. That's another thing you can do, okay? But as you're still working in here, you don't want to be touching things that have food residue on them anymore. You're going to wipe down the fronts of the dishwashers, fridge, and freezers. Okay? Fronts of the dishwashers, fridge, freezer, soap and water, disinfectant. You're going to wipe down the fronts of the cabinets. Soap and water, disinfectant. You're going to sweep the floor and mop it. The mops are back here in this room, okay? I need to wash my hands. Why? I just touched a doorknob. I need to wash them again. Ridiculous, but true. Mops here, okay? You fill a mop bucket, you put some cleaner, okay, about a cap full in about half a bucket of water, okay? And you get a new mop head. Here they are. Screw it on the mop, and you're going to first sweep, so you get any crummies up off the floor, and then mop the kitchen floor. If you don't, under these mop buckets, okay, you might not know this. If you do, bear with me, okay? You mop. First of all, that mop bucket was not left clean, so you got to get that dirt out of there. You have your solution. You put the mop head in the solution. Then you place the mop head in this bad boy here, and you squeeze this thing. I can't because I'm only having one hand. You squeeze this thing, and that wrings out the extra water so that there's not too much water in the mop, right? Because otherwise you will have too much water on your floor. It'll get all mucky. Okay? You don't want too much water sitting on your floor. After you sweep and mop, you're going to record the fridge and freezer temps here. Fridge, freezer, top fridge here, bottom freezer here, and here's this freezer. Okay, so there should be 3. Make sure the fridge and freezer doors are closed and secure, and after that you're going to turn off all the lights, back room and this room, and keep this door closed at all times, okay? My soapy water's ready. I'm not going to do the rinse one because it's just a rinse one, okay? Regular water. I am going to show you approximate measurements for the bleach sink, okay? My food catcher has been disinfected. Really important because those things are gross, okay? I'm going to fill my sink with the bleach solution about 1/3 of the way full. Okay, so about right here, and I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of bleach. Okay, it's going to take a while, and this I'm not going to make you sit and wait through this video, but then I am going to take one of these chlorine test strips out. I'm going to dip it in the water, and I'm going to look at the color it turns and make sure it is enough. Okay, so you know your stuff is getting sanitized appropriately. I'm then going to put it in the dish drainers. Oh, those are dirty. There's going to have to clean those, so I'm actually going to hand wash those also as I'm doing this. Because you want these to be clean. Otherwise, everything you just did, you're basically sitting them back in a bacteria bath. It's like counterproductive. Okay, so that's a kitchen rundown. My microwave sanitizer is dry. I'm gonna put this foam down. I'm gonna move my microwave back in place. And I also know in the back of my head that I still need to go empty the classroom and kitchen garbages from the one, and that's it. That's the only thing. Oh, unload the dishwasher and put away the dishes, okay? So that's another thing. As you finish, be like, okay, did I skip something? And now I think I'm finished, but I'm not. Whew, 18 minutes, just the end of lunch part of the kitchen shift. But really important to follow. We do not want to be spreading bacteria here. That's how we all get sick. And obviously, as we know, kids spread sickness to all of us, and then we spread it back, and it just never goes away. Cleanliness, cleanliness, cleanliness is a huge part of health and safety. Thank you.